Welcome to Seasons of Life, a biblical perspective for how to navigate life's ups and downs. Do you feel overwhelmed? Or do you feel successful? Experiencing loss? This weekly 15-minute word of inspiration will motivate you to live with more wisdom and peace. Here is your host, Pastor Mercy Oduah.
Hello and welcome to another dose of Seasons of Life, a biblical perspective for handling your life challenges. My inspirational talk aspires to let you know that seasons of life are unavoidable. The good seasons and the bad seasons, they are unavoidable. And I always liken seasons such as climate. Right now, you can see this office with red color and bright shirt that I'm wearing because one season has ended. We're about to enter the season of summer, and red is my favorite color. So also, our life experiences do not last forever. So I'm here to offer you a spiritual guide and support as you go through the ups and downs of your life, hoping that it will help you navigate the bad seasons, especially because that is where we have problem. And I want you to please kindly share this video, especially to people that are going through rough seasons of life. I emphasize that I am sharing from my experiences from loss and grief, hoping that they will benefit you. Today is episode 16. If you missed episode 1 to 15, you can always go back and listen to them. My talk today is on do not be afraid. Yes, do not be afraid as you go through the challenging seasons of life, seasons of loss, seasons of pain, financial pressure, marital issue, divorce, sickness, whatever issue that life is throwing to you. Do not be afraid. Why? Because the enemy uses fear at this time to paralyze you. The enemy uses fear to paralyze you. According to Stephanie Mellish, fear is idea crippling, experience crushing, success stalling inhibitor inflicted by you. Fear is idea crippling, it cripples your ideas, experience crushing, success stalling inhibitor inflicted only by you. Nobody put that fear on you. The opposite of fear is bravery. And bravery is not the absence of fear. Rather, bravery is having the fear, but being able to go through that fear and not letting that fear consume you or stop you. Everyone has fear, but we must not let fear consume us. Rather, we must find a way out of that fear. Fear is very high during challenging times because the enemy does not want you to pull through. So when you are going through a rough time, that is when that fear is high. Sometimes the enemy makes the problem bigger than the actual size. Your fear might be coming from imaginations. Your fear may be baseless, just imaginations. But you find yourself being afraid because that present situation, whatever that you're going through right now, you are afraid that it's going to crush you. but you have no base for it. It might be all in your thoughts, in your imagination. Then what happened is that you start making decisions based on fear. And any decision that you make based on fear, you are going to regret it because you are not in the right frame of mind. You are making that decision based on fear, and it's not going to come out right. What is the biblical perspective on fear? Because that is what this talk is all about. We look at the worldly way and we look at the biblical perspective. So, what is the biblical perspective of fear? How does God see fear, and how does He want us to handle fear? We are going to take the answer from 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, which tells us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. I repeat, 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 is telling you, as you are watching now, that God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. It is good to know that God is not the author of our fear. Rather, we are when we allow the enemy to put fear in us. Because he says that God has not given you a spirit of fear. So God is not the author of your fear. That fear is coming from you as you allow the enemy to put it in you. Also, I want you to know that the book of 1 John, chapter 4, verse 8, describes the effect of fear. Yes, the effect of fear, because everything that we do has effect. When you go out to the sun, you sweat too much and then you get dehydrated. So fear has effect, and one of the effects is torment. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8 says that fear has torment. And what is torment? Torment can be described as a situation or a state that causes great suffering. A situation or a state that causes great suffering and unhappiness. Torment is a source of persistent emotional stress. Indeed, you don't want to be there. You don't want to live in a persistent emotional distress. But however, sometimes fear enters our life through trauma, such as losing a loved one. When I lost my son, I was in fear. Fear gripped my soul. And my fear basically was coming from my negative thinking and imaginations. What did I do? I cried out to the Lord to deliver me from that fear, because it is not good to live in fear. And God, in His mercy and grace, delivered me from fear by letting me face my fear. Sometimes you have to face your fear. Sometimes you have to face that fear. I know somebody that is very afraid of dogs. I mean, she will not even look at dogs. But eventually, she started to find a way to face her fear. And now she is comfortable, with dogs. So we have to find a way to face our fear, because it is not good to live in fear. As you're listening to me, you might be afraid of going to take that exam because you have failed several times. You might be afraid of going back to school or starting a business. You might be afraid of losing a relationship. You might be afraid of death because the doctor is not telling you something good. Whatever your fear is, you have to find a way to face that fear. But above all, you can cry out to God to deliver you as I did, and He will deliver you. We are not supposed to live in fear, but we are supposed to be brave. And being brave means that we are trusting God. You are trusting God to, in every situation that you're going through. Being brave is trusting God, trusting His ability to help you in any situation. We must have the confidence that we are in God's able hands. And as we begin to think like that we are in God's able hands, then you see that fear begin to reduce, because God does not want us to live a life of fear. Yes, fear is part of human emotion, but we have to learn how to live through it. I want to let you know about an exciting story in the Bible. When Jesus was in the boat with his disciple, in the middle of the sea, they started to experience turbulence. Jesus was in the boat with the disciples, but he was asleep. So as the storm was hitting them in the middle of the sea, they were so much afraid, and they cried to Jesus and they woke Jesus up. What did Jesus do? Jesus calmed the storm and turned to them and asked them, "Why are you afraid? Where is your faith?" I want you to know that the absence of faith is fear. If you don't have faith, then what you have is fear. Because fear can come when you are in doubt, when you are questioning everything that is going on in your life, instead of putting your confidence in God. The Bible says that it is better to put confidence in God than in man, because man will fail. That thing that you have will fail. Your security, if it's a man, will fail. If it's in your money, will fail. If it's in your worldly asset, they will fail. And when that happens, it can create fear. But when you have confidence in God, then you will know that you are in God's able hand, and He will be able to help you in those times of fear. You don't buy faith in the market. It comes by reading the Word of God. Another biblical example of fear is in the book of Joshua, Joshua chapter 1. You can read the whole of chapter 1. What happened? After the death of Moses, Joshua was now selected to lead the Israelites. Joshua knows how great Moses was and that God was with him. Fear and anxiety set in his mind. He felt intimidated and inadequate to be the new leader. What happened? God stepped in and gave him one of the most reassuring words in the Bible. And what did God say? "Do not be afraid, Joshua. As I was with Moses, I will be with you." That was very reassuring to Joshua. God is all-knowing. God saw the fear in Joshua's heart. But you will know that God did not put that fear there, because God wanted him to lead the people of Israel, and therefore He will not put that fear in him. Rather, that fear was coming from Joshua's negative thinking that he will not be able to live up to Moses, thinking that he's gonna fail, until God came to him and reassured him that he will be with him. So the enemy planted that fear in the mind of Joshua so that he will not become the leader that God wanted him to be. So I ask you, what is the enemy preventing you from becoming? Do you want to go back to school? Or do you want to start a business? Or are you appointed as the manager, director? Whatever it is, the idea of progress that God is showing you, do not allow fear to come in. And now you begin to withdraw. You begin to give excuse. No, I want you to know that you can do it because God has given you that open door, and his presence will be with you. You have to face your fear from the root so that that fear will not hinder the new door that God is opening to you. So as I close, I want you to know, according to the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, that God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. I want you to receive it today and meditate on it. When those moments of fear, when they come to you, just release that word. Know that God has not given you a spirit of fear, and God is not the author of that fear that you are experiencing, so that you begin to cast it down, because it's coming from the enemy. It's coming to hinder you. It's coming to paralyze you and cripple you so that you will not move forward. So as I leave, meditate on 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord take away that spirit of fear by calming the storms in your life. And may you be able to see yourself as a conqueror. Shalom to you, and see you next week.
Thank you for watching this episode of Seasons of Life. Until next time, be well, and may God bless you.